In this lesson, we are going to do a mock ACT. And this is for those at, who are here present taking that ACT. If you are absent during this particular lesson, unless you got a doctor's notice or whatnot, you will have a 0. But even then, you will have a 0x, meaning that you do get a chance to make it up, provided that you have a doctor's excuse of your absence. All right? And then, of course, if you are at class, you already did this ACT, but we are all watching the video to get through the lesson that we're going to pick up on the next class period. Reminders, Kahoot are graded for accuracy, so you guys have a tendency of not putting enough effort into these Kahoots. You just click a button, wham, bam, whatever, and then it end up being bad. So I'm gonna need for you to just do better in these Kahoots, because now it's to the skill set. Now I know some like to cheat, but now with these Kahoots, I kind of am tailoring to how I want things done. So now it's more in terms of not only just presenting skill, it's more how well you can comply, or how well you was paying attention to the details of the lesson being taught. And remember, pop quiz could happen at any moment, any time. Last class period, when you guys took the Kahoot, I told you was looking at the pop quiz, but I decided to just grade the Kahoot as a grade, so you could look at the Kahoot as a quiz in a way, because I am grading to see how well did you do the homework, all this, all that. But the good news is, if you did poorly on these Kahoots, you get a chance to make up some of them, provided that you come to tutoring and do exceptionally well in my tutorings. But that's also going to be a little challenge of doing that as well. Also, remember this before you approach Mr. Howard's door. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So before you get to the door, I need for you to be ready for the lesson. Don't come in not knowing what was taught last class period, forgetting what was taught because you were too busy playing b-ball or doing whatever the day before class and when I give you homework. And just remember, children, if you want to be someone or go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. I mean, I grew up with that saying, and you ask your moms and dads, they're going to say the same thing that was taught on that. Be about my new 3, as I told you guys before, about that business, due diligence, and also academic integrity. Work on your project and make sure you are thorough. Make sure you give me all the details. Do not, don't, do not present me something that you didn't put enough effort on. Because when I read through these, I'm going to know. Alright? Pay attention to the deadlines. Everything in this classroom, if it's just notes writing, cool. But now you have to, everything got to come for the dome. If it's not for the dome, it's going to hurt you, because what I'm looking for is that skill more so than doing stuff. Because you guys got a tendency of, I'm doing my work, Mr. Howard. I'm doing my work and it be just notes. It's not you showing me that you know what you wrote down. Okay, math rotations. We will be rotating around doing takes in groups late this week. So towards the end of the week, we're going to try this math rotation. This math rotation goal is to, just better yet help you. So this is how we're going to do the groups. you're gonna be in groups of four. I mean, there gonna be four groups. M, you're gonna meet with me. So that's me providing you the little instruction that you need. And these are for kids who really need that instruction first. All together, it's kids who could thrive doing group work. Like mean that you mean that someone who's a leader in the group would teach the kids how to do the work and everybody doing their parts. T is the technology, so that's most on the calculator because when you take the ACT, you know, some December 9th, you're gonna be using those calculators, so you're gonna have to learn to use them. And then for the rest of us who are gonna be taking the Desmos, taking ACT in March or April, we gotta learn how to work Desmos real well. And then your H, it's your hands on. So your independent task. Binder check. I am looking for information from the 17th through the 25th. I'm looking for all the notes. I'm looking for everything. Hand out if I gave them to you. All of that. I'm looking for the stamps. If I didn't stamp your stuff is not dated, please don't present it to me because I'm not going to give you credit for it. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Ask some people. If you choose to be absent just because you want to and not do work, you're still responsible for it. Unless you got immediate doctor notes. Handle your assignments through Google Classroom. Do not, do not come to class and just don't send me nothing or have nothing done. Your notes are always in Google Classroom, so if you absent, you still need to, have my binder stuff ready. I need for you to have your notes together. All right? Again, Google Classroom, I have everything, so no one have an excuse to not do what they're supposed to do. So don't forget, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. All right, ACT. You're going to do it in Scholastic, but be more academic dishonesty. Now, those who are at the house, you're not doing ACT from the house. That's not going to happen. You're not to do it. You got other assignments I need for you to take the ACT here in person because you do it at the house. Of course, you will be tempted to cheat. That's how you operate. And we ain't doing that. Reminders. Before you do the ACT, do not start the ACT without doing these things. Phones, smartwatches are to be silent and put in the pocket or bag. You should not be having your phones on you. You should not be doing that because just like in the real ACT, if your phone's out, you get thrown out. So just don't do it. You're not allowed to talk to each other to finish, so you shouldn't be talking to each other, period. If you say anything to each other, you breathe towards each other. That's just a 0 out of 75. When you are in at your lesson, do not leave the test. If you leave the test, it's going to lock you. I'm going to give you a 0. And I'm not going you don't get a chance to make that up. That's a 0 out of 75 points. Homework. It's this video. You are to take notes. You are to have everything ready and organized, ready to go. Alright? For you who are at the house, well, this is classwork for you. The precise definition of mathematics. What is it? It is the technique to explain, understand, and manage reality by ciphering, counting, measuring, classifying, ordering, inferring, and modeling patterns arising in the environment. Very essential. Everyone is satisfied with the definition of math. There's not a place you can't go nowhere and not do math. And then you're like, Mr. Howard, I'm not doing this math for Lisa Struma. Unfortunately, you will. Or are you gonna be on some high level doing math? Are you gonna be doing things that require of algebra 2? Very little. But if you trying to be somebody and you trying to make real money, like serious money, and you trying to, rule something, you're gonna have to know algebra. You're gonna have to know this algebra well. You know, you can make money by being a rapper, to sing a lyric, or make millions from throwing the ball. But the thing is, there's always gonna be someone who's above you getting paid even more. You know, and it is someone who's doing the mathematics behind it. So while you think you're getting paid, you powerful, but in reality, you're not. So keep that in mind. How does anyone satisfy the definition of mathematics? We, as people, use math- mathematics by using the techniques to explain, understand, and manage reality by counting, measuring, classifying, ordering, and infer. We sometimes model patterns that arises in the environment, but we rarely ever cipher. Now, last class play I told you, I gave you a list of these words from this definition. I asked you to look them up to define them, because this is also going to help you with your project one to deal with. How do a student satisfy this definition? You as students satisfy it. You do everything but ciphering. Although I was trying to teach that to some of you guys. Some of you guys are into it, most were not. But when I force you, you do model patterns that arises in our environment, especially when I tell you to. The third 9 weeks, you will be doing a lot of modeling. How does factoring satisfy this definition? Factoring is a technique to explain, understand, and manage reality by counting, measuring, classifying, ordering, sometimes inferring, and modeling patterns arising in the environment. So you do that. And that's with any math techniques that I have taught you throughout the year and will teach you through the year. Algebra 2. Algebra 2 shows you various careers that requires college education. But I'll include basic jobs you can get after high school that uses low level math. Because many of you have stated to me you're not trying to want best for yourself, which I know you do, you just want to be lazy about it. But I'm just taking your words. I don't want to do that special. Well, work at Walmart. I will include some basic linear polynomials that you can use, or monomials that you can use. But for those who want the college experience and want to become something special, all the Algebra 2 skills, I promise you, is going to take you there. Just remember, people, anyone with math skills and writing skills are the ones who high in power and have the freedom to do whatever. If you don't have that mathematical skill, I promise you, as God is my witness, you're not gonna get far. You know, you're not. I know you feel like a teenager, Mr. Howard. I got it all figured out and you don't know. Well, my response is to that, God knows everything. You know everything better. So that's how I respond to that. And I keep it pushing like that. Trig knowledge. Make her proud. When I mean her, I mean your previous geometry teacher. The teacher you had last year. Make her proud. So find the missing signs. So you know, to do this, you're going to do the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So take a moment, pause this video and try to figure this out. Because I promise you, if you don't, you're not going to never understand math. You be like, Mr. Howard, I watch your videos, I still don't understand it. That's fine, but the issue is because you want to not pause the video and write things down and just see what you come up with. So take a moment to pause this video, and then once you're done, unpause it. So pause it now. Welcome back. You checked your work? Did you do all the steps correctly? See how far you can remember. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This goes way back since 8th grade. A is 4, b is 3, and we don't know what c squared is. But I know 4 squared is 16, and 3 squared is 9. So when I add 16 plus 9, I get 25 squared. Now, how did I get c by itself? Because c got squared, I can't have that to be my final answer. Well, because I have a square, meaning the exponent of 2, I do the inverse of the exponent by taking the square root. When I take the square root of both sides, which is what's happening, the square root of 25 is 5, and then the square root and the square of c disappears, so 5 equals c, and c equals 5, and that's it. So if you got that, good job. Alright, so why do we not try this problem? We're gonna do the same thing, right? Ugh. But I gotta find what b is. So why don't you take this moment? I guess we could work it together. So for this problem, you're gonna work it with me. So do not pause this video and work it with me. So we know 5 squared is 25, but 13 squared is going to be 169. So remember, our goal in this case is find out b. What's the b value? To do that, you have to get make the 25, get rid of it. And when you get rid of it, you get rid of it by taking the additive inverse, which is subtraction. And you subtract from both sides. So 169 minus 25 is 144. Then we're going to square root both sides. And we know the square root of 144 is 12. So, guess I've got the square root sign right here. So there, I wrote it. So, b is 12. And that's the side of that leg. Not bad. Remember, when you got x squared has a exponential inverse of square root. If I had x cubed, it would have a exponential inverse of cube root. if I have any x with an exponent and n is just any number, well, its exponential inverse is going to be x with the n root. All right, pretty straightforward, isn't it? Well, no, it isn't so straightforward, isn't it? So this is what I want you to do. I'm not gonna put too much explanation to it, but I want you to try this out on your own. You're gonna use the same formula, same steps, same everything. Everything I just told you about, exponential inverses and stuff like that, you want to apply that here too. So, I helped you with the first step. Now you, yourself, pause this video and try it out. All right, welcome back. So let's just see how we did. So, did you realize that 5 squared is 25 and that when you're on the outside of this, you want to multiply everything from here. So here you're going to multiply that exponent of 2 to the square root of 2. And then you're going to multiply that exponent of 2 to the 5. So that's going to be 5 squared and 2 square root of 2 squared. Well, we know that these two right here are going to be inverses of each other. So that's going to cancel out. And so they're going to be left with 2. And we know that 5 squared is going to be 25. So 25 times 2, we get 50. So that's how we get to 50. Just like that. And you're going to, again, all I did was multiply everything by the exponent of 2. And again, square roots and exponents, they cancel each other out. So, again, square roots and squares cancel each other out. Keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, this is pretty easy. I subtract 25 from both sides. I get 25. If I square root both sides, I just get 5. And that's going to be my answer for that leg. Alright, so let's try this one. Now, you do this one. So pause the video and you try it too. And remember, if you make a mistake, y'all, please don't freak out. Because the reason why we struggle in mathematics because we feel, Mr. Howard, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right now. I don't want to get it wrong. But in reality, you have to. When you was a baby and learned how to walk, you didn't get it down the first time. It took you a while. You crawled a little bit. You crawl before you walk. You walk before you run. So the same thing applies here. So pause this video and try it. Okay, welcome back. Did you start the formula correctly? Did you took A and distribute everything by the exponent of 2? It got 75. Did you catch Mr. Howard's mistake and realize that for 25 to happen, it has to be 5 squared, not 5? Okay, and then from there you add 25 plus 75, which is 100, and you square root both sides, you got 10. Good job. If you did this, you are a legend. Alright, so let's compare and contrast the two triangles we just did. There's some notes here that you may want to consider. Alright, so let's look at the first triangle. We notice that both the legs have the same length. And then the hypotenuse is the length of that leg times the square root of 2. So let's look at the other triangle we just did. So we know that the hypotenuse, you look at the 10 and the 5, well, we know that the hypotenuse is half of this leg. And we also know that this leg right here is the same side, the same length, times the square root of 3. Now, y'all, this is so essential for what we're going to be doing throughout this 9 weeks. You would not make it if you do not have this down. These are essential. Very much so. Alright, so the one with the same legs, the same length of legs, that is called a special 45-45 triangle. Now all they're saying is that the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of a leg, and the legs are the same, of course. Alright, this 30-60-90 triangle is what we did when we had a side that has some length times square root of 3, but the hypotenuse is 2 times, twice the original side. Now I know this looks funny, Mr. Howard. This looks different. Well, if I was to rotate it and flip it away, it will look like our stuff with x square root 3 side and side times 2. Now, be aware they're going to move stuff around like this, so you may have one of your triangles on that worksheet may look like this guy right here. And then you may have something on your test that looks something like this too. And that's okay. That's what these triangles do. But usually you'll have something that's telling that's going to help you recognize which side is what. Alright, modeling. As I told you, I want you to understand that everything did not come from nothing fell from the sky. Be like, real bad as is, that we gotta teach these children this hard math so they can feel like they can't achieve nothing. All this is for a purpose. And it doesn't matter if you agree with it or Mr. Howard. I'm not doing this until I finish with this Struma. You're going to do it. I promise you will. There's no trying to get out of it. You could run away from it, but it's going to come. Now, depending on the level, that falls to you. So let's go on with this wheelchair ramp. A wheelchair ramp consists with a length of 122 inches. and has a horizontal distance of 120 inches. What is the ramp's vertical distance? Ooh, I'm sorry, y'all. So, to help you visualize the problem, just draw a picture of a triangle. So, it tells you that the ramp is 122 inches, and you're trying to find the vertical distance. And I'm not going to complete the picture for you. I'm just going to get you started. You're going to tell me where goes where. You're going to figure that out on your own. And then after that, you on your own go figure out to answer this question. Construction laws are very specific when it comes to access ramp for the disabled. Every vertical rise of 1 inch requires a horizontal run of 12 inches. Thus, to satisfy this ramp requirement, you're going to figure that out too. And then you're going to get back with me and let me know. Alright, trig ratios. SOHCAHTOA. Sine, opposite of the hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent of the hypotenuse. And tangent, which is opposite over the adjacent. SOHCAHTOA. So, we're going to use all those trig ratios, all of the trig ratios that we had just done. So, we know that sine is going to be 4/5 opposite of the hypotenuse. The cosine is going to be 3/5 adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the tangent is going to be 4/3 opposite of the adjacent. So now we gotta find the inverse of these. So in this Algebra 2 class, we're going to take the inverse. So when you take the inverse of sine, it's going to be 5/4 instead of 4/5. And that is going to be called, the inverse of sine is cosecant, which is CSC. That is cosecant. So that is hypotenuse over the opposite. Alright, cosine is going to be 5/3. And again, originally it was 3/5, but when I take the inverses of this, it's going to be 5/3. So this is called secant. Secant is going to be hypotenuse over the adjacent. Now again, I'm just, flipping rational numbers. Again, we don't use the word fraction. So like if I have 2/3, if I was to take the inverse, which would be 3/2, and that's how you do that. And then we gotta talk about tangent. So tangent is going to be 3/4, and that's going to be called cotangent, which is adjacent over the hypotenuse. And just remember what I just showed you guys about the multiplicative inverses. So, next class period, we're going to talk about the advanced Pythagorean theorem. And we'll leave this at that. Alright, y'all. Not bad. Not bad at all.